All right. Before we jump into some of the hottest Raiders rumors that have been buzzing around ESPN lately, let me set the scene for you real quick over here in our Madden Live season. The Raiders are locked in a heated battle for the AFC West crown. We're talking about Week 18, and the tension couldn't be higher. This Thursday, at 4 o'clock Eastern, we're going live with what's shaping up to be the final showdown of the week. It's basically Raiders Friday happy hour, just happening on a Thursday. The Raiders currently stand at 114 wins and just one loss in this simulation. And if they manage to beat Kansas City in this next matchup, boom, that's the AFC West title right there. So, if you're a die-hard Raiders fan or just love to watch some Madden action, you better be tuned in because the playoff picture is looking intense right now. The silver and black are right in the thick of things. A win this week would catapult them all the way up to the number 2 seed in the AFC, which means the playoffs would kick off against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, you might have noticed something curious. The Chiefs and Raiders each have one fewer game played. That's because I've already simulated the other team's matchups ahead of time to keep things moving. So, the scenario is simple. If the Raiders win, they face the Bengals. If they lose, their playoff opponent shifts to the Baltimore Ravens. Either way, the stakes are sky high, and honestly, I don't care that this is Madden. This rivalry fires me up. I want to see the Raiders take down the Chiefs any day of the week. All right, with that hyped up, let's dive into what ESPN's been saying about the Raiders. Starting with the team's biggest strength this season. Spoiler alert, it's the defensive line. Seriously, if you ask around, the consensus is clear. This is where the Raiders shine brightest. Maxx Crosby has been an absolute beast, sitting 7th in the league with 34.5 sacks. And he's the top edge rusher with 223 tackles over the past 3 seasons. The defensive front is anchored by guys like Christian Wilkins, who, when healthy, is one of the league's premier defensive tackles. Wilkins managed 9 sacks in 2023, although he missed most of last season due to injury. The Raiders also expect Malcolm Kuhn to return after his ACL tear early in 2024. And there's plenty of hope pinned on their 2023 first-round pick, Tyree Wilson. Depth behind Wilkins and Adam Butler is still a concern, but the potential of this unit is undeniable. I'm going to be honest with you. If Christian Wilkins was 100% healthy and able to play all 17 games, that alone would be a game changer for this defense. Even if it's not all 17, just getting a solid Wilkins on the field consistently would push this defensive line into one of the NFL's elite groups. Maxx Crosby is one of the best edge rushers in the business, and Adam Butler quietly gets overshadowed but is a huge piece of the puzzle. Wilkins has the unique ability to draw double teams, which frees up Tyree Wilson and helps Malcolm Kuhn wreak havoc on the edges. This defensive front is the engine that will drive the Raiders' defense this season. Now, the secondary, that part of the defense still gives me some pause. That's why this defensive line has to be good. The line of scrimmage is where this defense wins or loses games, and luckily, the Raiders have Rob Leonard coaching up this group. Leonard is widely regarded as the best defensive line coach in the NFL, and he knows how to get the most out of the talent assembled here. So when ESPN says the defensive line is the Raiders' biggest strength, I'm all in on that. But I'll throw one more curveball. The tight end room is also a quietly huge strength for this team. The Raiders boast one of the best tight ends in the league, and if Michael Mayer takes that next step forward, this could be the top tight end group in the entire NFL. And don't sleep on the running game either. With Ashton Gentry in the backfield, a quarterback like Geno Smith, receivers who aren't afraid to block, and tight ends who can catch the football, the Raiders' run game could surprise a lot of people. It's a sneaky strength that doesn't always get the headlines, but is absolutely crucial to controlling games. In fact, the coaching staff and front office deserve some serious credit. This group doesn't always get the love it should, but if you rank Raider leadership from top to bottom, they easily slot into the top 10, possibly even the top 5. When you look at coaching and front office combined. Now, shifting gears, ESPN's also taken a close look at the Raiders secondary and labeled it as the biggest weakness. This isn't exactly breaking news. The secondary has been a concern for a while. The Raiders lost key contributors like Travon Merrick, Jack Jones, and Nate Hobbs, who were among the team leaders in snaps played last season, and none of them will be back for 2025. Eric Stokes, who struggled in Green Bay, is seen as a potential top corner. But the starting jobs are still wide open with guys like Jacqueline Bennett, Cameron Richardson, Darnay Holmes, and rookie Darian Porter all competing. One thing I have to point out, ESPN's analysis doesn't fully line up with what I'm seeing. For example, they think Darnay Holmes is in the mix to start, but from my perspective, he's not really a serious candidate for a starting role. That tells me ESPN might not have the inside track on every detail of this roster, but no argument. On the big picture, this secondary is definitely one of the worst in the league. The upside is there, though. Bennett, Porter, and Stokes all have potential to develop into quality players. And it's clear that Pete Carroll and the Raiders are investing in their ability to grow these young corners and safeties. The glaring holes, in my opinion, are at free safety and nickel corner. The Raiders have some solid run defenders in the secondary, but in coverage, there's work to be done, honestly. I want to see the Raiders go out and sign a proven free safety. Someone like Justin Simmons or Julian Blackmon would make a big difference. They have the cap space to improve, and it's the perfect opportunity to shore up their weakest link. While I'm not a huge believer in Jamal Adams anymore and CJT Woods more as a special teams contributor than a roster lock, it's clear that secondary depth and talent must improve for this defense to reach its full potential. Bottom line, this defense relies heavily on that defensive line being dominant. Because if the front falters, this secondary will really be exposed. Now, let's switch focus to a different kind of key player, Jackson Powers-Johnson, the Raiders' biggest X factor heading into the season. ESPN calls him the biggest X factor, and while I do think he's an important piece, I'm giving this one just a single just win, baby. Jackson Powers-Johnson had an interesting rookie year, splitting time between guard and center. He ranked 4th in pass block win rate when playing guard, but that dropped to 20th at center. Conversely, his run block win rate improved when he moved to center, ranking 1st at that position. There's a real chance that JPJ could develop into a star, and if he does, he'll be critical to the success of new Raiders quarterback Geno Smith, running back Ashton Gentry, and offensive coordinator Chip Kelly's offense. But here's why I'm only giving him a single just win, baby. While JPJ is absolutely vital, I think the true biggest X factor on this team is Geno Smith himself. If the Raiders make the playoffs this year, it's going to be because Geno took them there, not JPJ. That's not to diminish JPJ's value. Having a strong center is crucial, as we've seen with players like Rodney Hudson, who anchored this line for years. JPJ fits the physical style that Chip Kelly wants to bring. And with a running back like Ashton Gentry, the Raiders want to be a tough, physical team. JPJ is a big part of that identity still. At the end of the day, Geno Smith's performance will likely dictate how far this team goes. Moving on, ESPN also highlighted some non-starters you should know about. These are players they don't expect to start, but some could surprise and earn bigger roles. One non-starter who could be a huge X factor is Ashton Gentry himself. He's been a standout all preseason, and if you're thinking about grabbing his jersey, now's the time. It's on sale and you can save some serious cash on what might be the best running back jersey you'll find. Another non-starter to watch is defensive tackle Jay Japes. This guy is wild. He played Wildcat quarterback in college, weighing in at 325 pounds. Yeah, you heard that right. He's a mix of raw power and versatility, excelling in tackling and even showing some offensive skills back in his college days. One of the coolest things about him is how the Raiders drafted him in the 6th round of the 2025 NFL Draft, making it one of the most intriguing late-round classes in recent memory. Piss has played all over the defensive front, defensive tackle, defensive end, and has also lined up as a running back and fullback. His ability to play Wildcat quarterback adds another layer of unpredictability. If Wilkins misses time this season, Piss could step in and see more playing time, making him a crucial depth piece. The Raiders' decision to vote against the tush-push rule in the NFL might actually be connected to players like Piss and Tommy Mellott, who bring versatility and physicality to the team. Other non-starters to keep an eye on include Dante Thornton Jr., Jordan Meredith, Darian Porter, Tommy Mellott, and Thomas Harper, players who could push for bigger roles as the season unfolds. So, while ESPN's article lists these guys as non-starters, some of them might just surprise us all and make an impact bigger than expected. And that's part of what makes this team so interesting to watch this year. There's a mix of proven talent, up-and-coming players, and intriguing wildcards that could swing the season one way or another. If you've made it this far, thanks for sticking with me. There's so much to unpack with the Raiders this season. And trust me, when breaking news hits or when other stories come up, I'll be right here making sure you're the first to know. This team has the talent and potential to shake things up in the AFC West. And with some key players stepping up and a few surprises waiting in the wings, it's shaping up to be a wild ride. Now that we've laid out the Raiders' strengths, weaknesses, and some of the players who could either make or break this season, it's time to dig deeper into what the Raiders will need to do if they want to not just make the playoffs, but actually make some noise once they get there. The pressure on this team is enormous. They're sitting at a crossroads where everything they've built recently is about to be tested in the crucible of real competition. Winning the AFC West would be a huge achievement, considering the Chiefs' dominance over the last decade, but it's not enough to just get in. The Raiders want to prove they belong among the league's elite again. One key to that is the offensive line, which, after a bit of rebuilding and some smart draft picks, is starting to gel. Yes, Jackson Powers-Johnson has been a headline grabber because of his versatility, but it's not just about him. The Raiders' offensive line needs to protect Geno Smith better than they did last season. That means more consistent pass blocking, fewer penalties, and most importantly, opening up running lanes for Ashton Gentry and whoever else gets carries. When the offensive line clicks, the whole offense feels it. Geno Smith benefits from a clean pocket and a solid push up front, and Ashton Gentry can pound defenders into the dirt. This is not just theory. In the simulation games, when the line performs well, the Raiders are unstoppable. The offensive scheme under Chip Kelly is designed to be fast, aggressive, and efficient, with quick reads and multiple run options. Kelly's system demands a high football IQ and rapid decision-making from the quarterback, and that's where Geno Smith's experience comes in. He's a seasoned player who's shown flashes of brilliance, but he needs to elevate his consistency. The offense needs him to limit turnovers, read defenses better pre-snap, and trust his playmakers. The receivers, while talented, are not elite stars, so the quarterback's role in spreading the ball efficiently and avoiding mistakes is absolutely critical. The Raiders' tight end group has the potential to be a major weapon here, especially if Michael Mayer can break out. Mayer's ability to create mismatches against linebackers and safeties could open up the field for the other receivers and the running game. If Mayer develops into a true focal point in the passing game, defenses will have to respect the tight end threat, and that alone could shift how teams defend the Raiders. Mayer's progress will be one of the most important storylines this year. Speaking of the receivers, while they may not be household names yet, they bring their own value to the offense. These guys are smart, hard-working, and versatile. They're the kind of players who might not rack up massive yardage every game, but will consistently make clutch catches when it counts. Their ability to block downfield and help in the running game also fits the Raiders' physical style. That extra grit and determination, while maybe underappreciated by casual fans, could win close games. However, the Raiders' offense isn't without its risks. Geno Smith's history with turnovers is a concern, and if the offensive line struggles, he could get rattled. Moreover, while Chip Kelly's offense is exciting, it requires a finely tuned rhythm and timing. And early in the season, that could take some time to develop. The Raiders must hope for a fast adjustment period, especially with the high stakes of every game down the stretch. If the offense can click early, the Raiders could dominate their division and secure home field advantage in the playoffs. Turning back to the defense, the secondary remains a glaring problem. While the defensive line has the potential to be one of the best units in the league, if the corners and safeties can't hold their own in coverage, opposing offenses will pick the Raiders apart through the air. This is especially true against teams with dynamic quarterbacks and speedy receivers. The Raiders' defensive scheme will have to compensate by applying pressure with blitzes and disguising coverages, but that's a risky proposition. If the blitz doesn't get home quickly, the secondary's vulnerabilities will be exposed. The Raiders will also rely heavily on their linebacker cores to help mask those weaknesses in the secondary. Linebackers who can cover tight ends and running backs effectively are going to be in high demand. This is where coaching and experience matter. The defensive coordinator's ability to craft game plans that maximize the front seven strengths while minimizing the secondary's exposure will be crucial. If the linebackers step up and the defensive line dominates, the Raiders could field a defense that, while not perfect, is strong enough to win playoff games. One fascinating element of the Raiders' defense this season is their use of versatile players like Jay Japis. His ability to shift positions and even line up on offense occasionally adds an unpredictable wrinkle to the defense. This kind of versatility is valuable not just for matchups, but for keeping opponents guessing. If Piss can make an impact on special teams and contribute in multiple roles, That could be a secret weapon the Raiders didn't have in previous years. On special teams, the Raiders have been solid but not spectacular. Field position will matter a lot in the tight divisional races, so improving the kicking game and punt returns could provide a small edge. That makes a big difference over the course of a season. The coaching staff's attention to detail on special teams could translate into extra points and better field position, which often swings close games. As for coaching overall, the Raiders' leadership under head coach Pete Carroll is a big plus. Carroll's experience and ability to inspire players have been a stabilizing force for this franchise. His defensive background aligns well with the team's emphasis on a dominant front line and aggressive play. Meanwhile, offensive coordinator Chip Kelly's high-speed offense brings excitement and innovation, creating a dynamic contrast on both sides of the ball. This balanced approach gives the Raiders a blueprint for success, provided that the players execute the game plans. The front office deserves credit for assembling a roster with a good mix of veterans and youth. They've been aggressive in free agency but also patient in developing draft picks. The cap space they currently have gives them flexibility to make key additions mid-season if needed, which could be a major advantage. If injuries hit or if weaknesses become glaring, they're in a position to pivot and address those concerns quickly. From a fan perspective, the excitement surrounding the Raiders is palpable. After years of turmoil and rebuilding, this team feels like it's on the cusp of something special. The Silver and Black faithful are hopeful but realistic. They know the road ahead is tough, but with the talent on this roster and the coaching staff in place, they believe the Raiders can return to playoff glory. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are growing louder in the NFL world as reports suggest that TJ Watt, the star pass rusher, might be on the verge of leaving the Pittsburgh Steelers. The buzz around the league points toward a blockbuster move, with Watt reportedly set to join the Las Vegas Raiders on a mega contract that could shake up the off-season landscape. Although nothing has been officially confirmed, sources close to the negotiations hint that the Raiders are prepared to offer Watt a deal that would make him one of the highest-paid defensive players in the league. TJ Watt has long been a cornerstone of the Steelers' defense, emerging as one of the most dominant pass rushers in recent years. His relentless pursuit of quarterbacks and ability to change the course of games have made him a fan favorite in Pittsburgh. However, rumors suggest that contract talks with the Steelers have hit a roadblock, opening the door for other teams to swoop in. The Raiders, eager to bolster their defense and make a splash in free agency, appear to be the frontrunners in this pursuit. The potential contract on the table is reportedly massive, reflecting Watt's elite status and the Raiders' commitment to turning their defense into a championship-caliber unit. While exact figures remain under wraps, insiders say the deal could exceed current market standards for edge rushers, signaling a bold move by Las Vegas to secure a game-changing talent. This kind of investment would not only transform the Raiders' defensive front, but also send a strong message across the league about their ambitions. The Steelers, known for their storied defensive tradition, would undoubtedly feel the impact of losing Watt. His departure would create a significant void in their pass rush and alter the team's defensive identity. Fans and analysts alike are debating whether Pittsburgh will attempt to match or counter the Raiders' offer, or if they will instead shift their focus to rebuilding around other defensive pieces. Meanwhile, the Raiders' locker room would gain a fierce competitor whose presence alone could elevate the entire defense's performance. As this story continues to develop, speculation is rampant on social media and sports talk shows, fueling the anticipation of what could be one of the biggest moves of the offseason. If Watt does indeed don the silver and black, it could mark a turning point for both franchises, signaling the Steelers' end of an era and the Raiders' rise as a defensive powerhouse. For now, fans can only wait and watch as the details unfold. But the possibility of TJ Watt's mega contract with the Raiders is generating undeniable excitement and intrigue throughout the NFL community. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.